Professor, what's your initial reaction to Australia's decision to ban social media for children under 16?
I'm very supportive of it. The real question is, how well will they be able to operationalize it? But I think we need to be honest with ourselves and recognize that social media as it exists today is an addictive product. It's no different than cigarettes or alcohol. And in most countries in the world, we have age limits on those. And those age limits are frankly 18 or 21. We have those limits because we think children that young aren't able to self-regulate enough to prevent themselves from overusing the product.
Is there evidence that restricting social media to youngsters under 16 will improve their mental health?
It's an excellent question. I think there is increasing evidence, yes, that younger children are more likely to get addicted, and that addiction predicts untoward outcomes. There have been recent studies, for example, that have shown that very convincingly that young teenagers, 12 and 13 with social media addiction, are 2 times as likely to commit suicide or to have suicidal thoughts 3 or 4 years later. So it's a real problem, and I think steps have to be taken. I'm not certain, nor frankly are the people of Australia, that this will work. But I think it's a step in the right direction. Age restrictions, by the way, are never 100% effective, whether it's cigarettes, alcohol, gambling. We don't do them because we know they'll work. We do them because we want them to work, and it's the right thing to do.
Can we distinguish between the healthy use and the harmful use for developing children?
It's also a good question. You know, I think the reality is at a population level that some children benefit from the use of social media. Some children are largely unaffected, and a sizable percentage of children have significant negative consequences in terms of addiction, in terms of depression, anxiety, loss of sleep, eating disorders. These are real problems, all of which are increasing, and the evidence, in my mind, is convincing that social media plays an important role in it. It's impossible to predict which children will benefit, which will be harmed. And as a result, from a public health standpoint, we often adopt a strategy of what's best for the population. And there's really no harm in delaying the age at which children use social media. I also want to point out, because I think this is really, really important for your listeners to understand, that the products that exist today in 2025 are different than the products that existed 10 or 15 years ago. Maybe even the products that some parents started using when they were 15 or 20 years old. The platforms have evolved, and they've evolved deliberately, predictably, to become more engaging and, frankly, more addictive. So when we think about the possible benefits of social media, we should put those in the context of a different product that doesn't currently exist, or maybe does exist but is not widely deployed, and we should encourage children to use those. So
maybe some 10, 15 years we used Facebook for like an hour a day, and now we might use it like for 4 or 5 hours, even not.
Exactly, and because it's a different product now. 15 years ago, none of the features that exist now were part of it. And all of those features have been added sequentially to make the product more addictive.
If other countries were to consider such policies, what adjustments would you recommend?
Well, everyone's watching to see what happens in Australia. I'll be going there this summer myself to meet with scientists there and look at their data with them. I think the bottom line is we're in the early days of trying to figure out solutions to this problem. But we need to figure out solutions.
A rather, I guess, reasonable question is, how can a child growing up in a world full of screens everywhere avoid the screens?
Yeah, I don't think avoiding screens is possible or even desirable. But again, the onus is on us as parents, as a society in general, to develop guardrails, to develop processes, procedures, norms, to help children live healthy lives in a digital world. And that challenge is only going to be made greater with the advent of AI, which is clearly the elephant in the room these days.
Mm-hmm. And finally, how critical do you sense this moment is on a global scale? I mean, is it really the time that countries should regulate the way that we act on the digital age and the way that our children will regulate their digital lives?
I think it's an essential turning point. And as I mentioned, I think with the advent of artificial intelligence, it's never been more important. AI will supercharge, already is supercharging all of these platforms and make them that much more potent, that much more addictive, frankly, that much more dangerous.
Professor Christakis, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.